Well, hello there. I'm Cosmic Cannibal, and this is the Cosmic Cannibal podcast, your sometimes weekly report of all things astrology, from zodiac signs and planets to transits and horoscopes. And speaking of horoscopes and transits and planets and zodiac signs, I have got your horoscope for a very major transit moving through a new zodiac sign and a big planet. I'm talking Jupiter and Gemini, baby. It's here! Woo! Happens every 12 or so years that the universe says, hey, you know what I haven't done in a while? I haven't brought Jupiter and Gemini together. Well, guess what? It has. That's right. Luck is in the air, literally, because luck and prosperity planet Jupiter has entered Aries Gemini, and this breathes new life into your big picture aspirations, your experiences, your writing, your communication. From now, May 25th through June 9th, 2025. This is a big shift. I'm not just being my, dramatic self. This marks the next phase of Jupiter's cycle through the zodiac. It also marks an important part and point and moment in 2024 because it means that everything that happened before May 25th, it's in the past, obviously, because it happened before then. But it's also just like, who gives a shit? Because that's when Jupiter was in Taurus. That's when things were moving slow. That's when life was like, guess what? We're going to have abundance. Haha, joke's on you, because, not many of us got very much abundance. But then May 25th, everything changes. And I'm literally not being too dramatic. I'm being somewhat dramatic, but Gemini's the sign of change. So this marks a moment where things are about change. Things are heading towards shifts. Things are about to speed up and accelerate, and I'll get more into that. So Jupiter in Gemini, it's May 25th through June 9th, 2025. With the planet of plenty in the curious, communicative, and changeable air sign, change is definitely in store. It's in store for your writing, your learning, your adventures, your big picture goals, your travel, your overall outlook on life, because those are the things that Jupiter's all about. And everybody is seriously going to be impacted by this transit. I don't mean like seriously, like it's going to be like, you're seriously impacted. I mean like for realsies, everyone is affected by this transit. But air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces, you're going to feel the effects of this transit more strongly. And don't worry, there are horoscopes coming for you. So Jupiter in Taurus saw you planting seeds for long-term growth and success by, pulling up your sleeves and putting in the work, right? Taurus is like the plow on the field, right? It's like tilling the soil, and you got that bull pulling the thing that tills the soil, and it's like, I'm gonna do this at a slow, methodical, deliberate, dare I say sedated pace, because that's what Jupiter in Taurus was. It was slow, it was sure, it was methodical and deliberate and sedated. But with Jupiter moving into Gemini, the pace of life, the rate at which you seek out and take in information, the maturation of your seedlings, they're all about to gain major speed. Now, if you're new to astrology, hell, even if you've loved astrology for a long time, you might not have formally met Jupiter. You may just have been introduced to Jupiter by so-called astrologers on TikTok. Whoa, throwing the shade! So let me introduce you. Let me explore what Jupiter means in astrology. Astrological Jupiter, planet of optimism, expansion, luck, the gas giant's pro-growth energy. It helps you put yourself out there, helps you broaden your mind. Usually this is through spiritual or religious experiences, traveling to new places, you go to college, maybe you visit an art museum, anything that exposes you to new ideas, new cultures, new perspectives. That's what Jupiter's all about. But Jupiter's all about encouraging you to make leaps of faith and take big risks, right? Jupiter's the planet that's like, hey, invest in yourself. Hey, go place that bet on DraftKings. By the way, this is not sponsored by DraftKings, but it could be. Jupiter also attracts people and opportunities that can help you make headway in your life and manifest major abundance, because Jupiter rules abundance. Jupiter rules wealth. Jupiter rules prosperity and fortune. Exuberance, enthusiasm, and confidence, those are things that Jupiter also rules. So faith, philosophy, optimism, it's like a bunch of stuff. Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, and it gains its name from the Roman king of the gods. That's the Greek Zeus. It's a benefic, and it plays a massive role in astrology. And if you're curious, the term benefic, it refers to planets that are traditionally considered to bring positive, favorable, and beneficial influence. So it comes from the Latin beneficus, which means generous or kind. Venus and Jupiter are the two benefics of astrology, and they have a positive reputation for bringing generosity, sweetness, blessings without very much effort. Jupiter is the great benefic. It's sort of like the head honcho benefic. It's like Venus is like, cool, I'll give you like a couple of bucks. Venus slips you like a $20 bill. Jupiter's like the rich aunt who's like, oh, I'm just going to give you my inheritance because I don't really have anything or anyone else to give it to. It's associated with growth, expansion, prosperity, good fortune, optimism, right? It's the planet that brings opportunities and blessings that help you grow, expand, gain wisdom, and gain experience. But I do want to note what these opportunities and blessings look like depend on the natal promise of your birth chart. It depends on what Jupiter is doing in your birth chart. It depends on how receptive and susceptible you are to Jupiter's energies. Some of us are a little bit more receptive and susceptible to it. Some of us, not so much. So you might not see huge blessings and opportunities and so many things going on with Jupiter and Gemini. I just want to make that note. So I don't want you to get your hopes up, because that's a very big Jupiter thing to do, to be like, I have such high expectations for this. And then you get let down because, reality slaps you in the face. And it's like, maybe the blessing is that you just start getting people are just slipping you $20 bills every day. Or maybe the opportunity is that you've fallen into a job because someone took a chance on you, right? There's different ways that Jupiter's energy can manifest. Now, what does it mean to have the great benefic in Gemini? Well, in order to understand that, we have to first understand Gemini. So what does Gemini mean in astrology? Mutable air sign Gemini is the sign of pollination, of disbursement, of connection, communication, and commotion. Traditionally, Gemini is represented by the twins, but I think Gemini is more like a butterfly, a bumblebee, a dandelion seed, and maybe sometimes like a gnat, because sometimes they don't go away. Gemini flies around from flower to flower, picking things up, putting things down before moving on and blowing in the wind. Gemini never stays static for long, because lack of movement and a lack of mental stimulation equals boredom. Being static equals boredom, and Gemini can never ever be bored. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, the planet of communication, so that's learning, writing, speaking, texting, and the sign is, widely known as a chatty sign, a witty sign, a verbose sign, a loquacious sign, but it's highly active. It's a highly imaginative, clever, witty, changeable, and fickle zodiac sign. Butterfly-like, Gemini is made to move, made to explore, take things in, flit from flower to flower, rinse and repeat. And that is all because of Gemini's mutability. So mutability, it just refers to the energetic temperament of 1/3 of the zodiac, because 1/3 of the zodiac are mutable signs. Again, I mentioned them: Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces. These signs are literally made to spread things around. They're meant to move and disperse what the fixed signs consolidate. Since Gemini is a mutable air sign, and air is the element of the mind, of ideas, of information, Gemini's astro MO is to collect, connect, and disperse. information. This is why we get the, stereotype of Gemini being so talkative, Gemini reading, writing, and studying so much, often at the same time. It's that dualistic nature of the sign. So now that we know what Jupiter is about, what Gemini is about, what the fuck is Jupiter and Gemini about? Okay, Jupiter is widely and sometimes inaccurately connected to windfalls of massive abundance and prosperity. These Jupiter transits are more often likely to send you on a quest for meaning. Because what Jupiter really, really values, like Jupiter's okay with literal material fortune, like, hey, it's the Scrooge McDuck of planets. Not really, because, Jupiter's more generous. But it's like, hey, I'm okay with having an abundance of money in my bank account. But Jupiter's more after acquiring knowledge through experience. So it's putting you on quests for meaning. And during these quests, you hopefully grow, you hopefully change, you hopefully gain wisdom and knowledge because you're exposing yourself to new experiences, new people, new cultures, etc. Maybe even new food. Maybe it's just new food. And this is what Jupiter in Gemini is especially about, is really about. Growth through mental experience, then sharing what it is that you learned and gained with others, because Jupiter is the planet of generosity. Now, again, in Gemini, Jupiter's experiences have a lot to do with curiosity, connection, networking, learning, and communication. And this includes communication in all forms. So writing, speaking, the media, social media, publishing, even podcasts, Substack, Spotify. We might see things really shift in new directions for these platforms. Both Gemini and Jupiter, they have an unquenchable thirst for learning. The difference is that curious Gemini seeks information. Wise Jupiter seeks knowledge. Mental expansion, sharing what they learn and know, and, playfulness are what these two have in common. So they both want to share what they learn. They both want to explore different worlds, and they can both be really playful with ideas and each other. Learning new things, taking in new information, getting curious about the world around you, connecting with new people, new networks, sharing your ideas, sharing information with the world. That's what you want to focus on during Jupiter and Gemini. Because Gemini is actually the sign of broadcasting and promotion. So the sign is particularly adept at selling things, spreading the word, and dispersing information. I cannot stress the disbursement of information part enough, because that's what this transit is really going to do. The sign, in this sign, Jupiter, the planet of expansion and extended reach, whatever you put out into the world during this time, I could venture to say that it might get massive reach. Major popularity. It's going to be like circulating like a really hot gossip, right? Now, if you are curious about the magic of Jupiter and Gemini, I would encourage you to dive into my novel, Jupiter Returns. It follows the journey of an aspiring astrologer who's determined to make it big during her so-called lucky Jupiter return in Gemini. It's packed with astrology insights, humor, romance, competition, stakes. It's a fun summer read. It's definitely going to capture your imagination. It's going to make you laugh, tickle your funny bone. And if you want a sneak peek, you can discover more about this novel on my website, cosmiccannibal.com. Or you could read the thrilling first chapter on Substack, Jupiter Returns Chapter 1. It's on there. Now, what are the challenges of Jupiter and Gemini? Well, as Gemini knows, there are two sides to every story. So all the good things of Jupiter and Gemini, the like disseminating information, the butterfly-like imagery, the hey, I'm dispersing things and I'm pollinating and propagating and things are moving at a quicker pace. Well, that's one side of the story, right? I'm not going to say that that's all bullshit, because it's not bullshit. That's all stuff that is likely to happen. But Jupiter is a planet of many, many, many things. Some of them simple, some of them abstract. So those simple, abstract area of life, expansion, understanding, optimism, wealth, fortune, growth, abundance, faith, hope, goodwill, generosity, those are going to take on the best and the worst qualities of Gemini. Because technically Jupiter is in its detriment in Gemini, which means its high-minded philosophical search for meaning, miracle grow largesse is somewhat stifled. But not stifled in a way that it can't fully express itself. It's more just going to express itself in multiple directions. So the biggest thing to look out for with this transit is that you're spreading yourself too thin because you're just pursuing 800 different things. 800 different things are grabbing your interest. That's going to lead to nervousness, restlessness, burnout, and just not finishing what you want to start. This doesn't mean that Jupiter in Gemini is a bad transit. It's more that Gemini's tendency to split its attention could see you doing the same thing a lot. And maybe in big ways. Maybe you're splitting your attention in big ways and it's not helpful for you. And this is because Mercury-ruled Gemini focuses on the details, the mundane, the everyday, while Jupiter focuses on the spirit, the higher mind, the big picture, the future. So that's sort of the main tussle between the planetary energy and the zodiac sign energy. What this might manifest as is a difficulty seeing the master plan. Maybe you're busying yourself with short-range goals, short-range ideas just because they're new and momentarily stimulating. It's also a conflict between seeing the near and the far, right? Because here's the thing, Jupiter is the teacher, Gemini is the student. So one way to see this detriment unfold or get a better picture of it in your mind, so picture Jupiter as Professor Dumbledore, or, if you're an X-Men fan, Professor X, right? And in a Freaky Friday type of way, these two wise, benevolent instructors, they've suddenly switched bodies with Fred and George Weasley or Deadpool, right? So Jupiter, Professor Dumbledore, aka Jupiter, is now suddenly embodied by Fred and George Weasley, and then Professor X is now embodied by Deadpool, vice versa. What this basically means is it's harder to teach, right? It's harder to get this experience and get this wisdom and really explore it in the way that it wants to explore it, because the student, Gemini, is hyperactive, superficial. It's unnecessarily glib, witty, playful. It's always playing games, always playing pranks. It's scattering its interests and attention. It's not finishing its homework, doesn't know when to stop, and it's kind of leaving all its options open. That's the big picture of Jupiter and Gemini. That's the big challenge of Jupiter and Gemini. But overall, Jupiter and Gemini gives you a double dose of charm, wit, curiosity, and flirtiness. It magnifies your appetite for connection, communication, and variety. The best way to work with Jupiter and Gemini is to feed its appetite for all things new and stimulating, and to satisfy its craving for communication and connection. So for the next year, because you don't have to do this in one day, right? This is a transit that's happening for a year. You go out to new places, go out and make new friends, try new things, meet new people, express yourself in new ways, put your writing out there, let your voice be heard. Jupiter in Gemini does emphasize humor, talkativeness, wit, and interest in just about everything. So this is a transit that I could see communication taking on a wittier, more humorous, more pithier tone, right? it could see you dabbling in a lot of different projects, a lot of different topics. Maybe you're moving into different friend groups, you're analyzing a ton of stuff. You might be living in your head because Gemini is a highly, highly mental sign. So your nervous system might feel, overworked at times because there's an undeniable restless nervousness to Gemini. And Jupiter is the planet of expansion. Jupiter expands and magnifies the qualities and elements of the sign in which it transits. So that restless energy, that mental nervousness, that anxiety, that's stuff that I really, really, really want you to be aware of to avoid burnout or exhaustion. Like, I'm already a nervous person. I'm a Gemini. I can speak to this sign's tendency to just be like, go, 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 go. Try not to over caffeinate yourself. Make sure you're going out into the world and like going for long walks, or, give yourself opportunity to breathe fresh air. Like, the literal interpretation of this transit, Gemini is an air sign, so there is definitely a need for fresh air, for going outside and, taking in all the beauty and splendor of the world, even though the world right now is apparently being turned on its head by all the climate change. I'm not laughing at climate change, but there's a lot of weird climate related weather catastrophes that could prevent you from going outside. But I don't know, maybe just open a window. To really unlock Jupiter and Gemini's luck and abundance, because that's what this transit tends to promise. Jupiter transits are like, hey, I'm going to bring you so much luck and abundance. I have many, many thoughts on that, which I've actually explored in my novel, Jupiter Returns. Check that out at cosmiccannibal.com. What you want to focus on is having faith in yourself, having confidence in your message, in your ideas, and in your imagination. Because Gemini is actually a very imaginative sign. When you embrace this transit's enthusiastic pursuit of ideas, its creative, impulsive, intelligent, and innovative energy, when you learn, you share, you rinse, repeat, you're traveling, you're sharing, you're writing, your flowers are going to bloom like crazy without much effort on your part. But again, make sure you balance this transit's tendency to go big and think that all your, what it is that you're writing or what it is that you're saying or what it is that you're thinking is like so important and has to be shared, with realism. Balance that with some realism. Make sure you stay grounded. Make sure you get plenty of fresh air, plenty of rest. This is kind of the transit where it's like, I'm going to read one book every week. And what you end up doing is like reading one chapter of a new book every week. And then you're like, I don't even remember what story I'm in anymore, right? That's sort of the easy way to get overwhelmed by Jupiter and Gemini. So there you have it. This is everything you need to know about Jupiter and Gemini, the biggest transit of 2024. Jupiter has been doing a lot of things in 2024. There was the Jupiter Cazimi on May 18th, the Jupiter-Venus conjunction on May 23rd, and now Jupiter is entering Gemini. It is doing some things for us personally and for us collectively, and it's doing something major in the area of your life and chart that's ruled by Gemini. If you want to dive further into this, head on over to my Substack, cosmiccannibal.substack.com. I have sign-by-sign horoscopes for Jupiter and Gemini for my paid subscribers. You can also become a member of my astrology community, the Cosmic Collective. You get those horoscopes included as part of your membership. You also get a free Jupiter and Gemini guide. I'm going to be launching some exciting new workshops, and there's a community, and there's monthly digital downloads. I highly, highly recommend that. You can find that at cosmiccannibal.com. If you also want to dive into what this transit is doing for you, and you want to look at maybe some prosperous dates for your year on and using and working with this Jupiter and Gemini transit, get a 2024 birth chart reading at cosmiccannibal.com. We can look at your perfection year. We can look at your progressed moon. We can look at how Jupiter and Gemini is interacting with maybe challenging, but maybe blossoming certain parts of your chart. Again, that's at cosmiccannibal.com. And until next time, thanks for listening and happy Jupiter and Gemini.